I tried about 4 years ago to get rid of the junior.
Really?
As a good friend of, probably a mutual friend of ours, Douglas Fairbanks did. And the public would not accept Sammy Davis.
Sammy Davis Jr. kept a storage unit under a fake name and paid cash every month until his death. For 30 years, it sat untouched in a warehouse in Burbank. When they finally opened it, investigators found more than just memorabilia. They discovered letters about his real mother's identity, recordings of conversations that could damage careers, and evidence of what really happened with Kim Novak in 1958. He documented everything. After 30 years of silence, the truth is finally out. Sammy Davis Jr. was born on December 8, 1925, in Harlem, New York City. His parents, Sammy Davis Sr. and Elvira Sanchez, were both performers in vaudeville shows. This meant Sammy was born into show business. However, a hidden part of his story was that his mother, Elvira, was Cuban. The family kept this quiet because of anti-Cuban feelings in America then. Sharing this background could harm record sales and public support. From a young age, Sammy faced racism and had to hide parts of who he was. Harlem, filled with the energy of the Harlem Renaissance, became his first stage and shaped his life. By age 2, Sammy was already performing with the Will Maston Trio, led by his father and family friend Will Maston. While most toddlers played with toys, Sammy danced and sang in theaters nationwide. The spotlight became his playground, but it came with a con. He did not have a normal childhood. Instead, he learned to entertain audiences and develop his skills while other kids attended school. The constant touring was tiring, but it made him strong. He also witnessed the harsh reality of racism in America, seeing signs that said, "whites only," and feeling the pain of being treated differently. This ignited his desire to break barriers. At just 3 years old, Sammy's life changed again. His parents separated, and his father gained custody, bringing him deeper into show business. Will Maston became a mentor and a protective figure in his life. However, there were limits to that protection. Sammy saw black performers' discrimination, but learned how to fight back with talent, grace, and hard work. By then, he was no ordinary child. He was a skilled performer, traveling from city to city in amazing audiences. When Sammy was 7, he appeared in the film Rufus Jones for President. He acted alongside Ethel Waters in a movie that imagined a black boy as president. Although the film was funny, it carried a significant message. At a time when black faces were uncommon in Hollywood, Sammy's charm stood out. His singing and dancing won people's hearts. The film hinted at his future. Sammy was a performer and a powerful presence. He had a unique ability to make people look beyond the color of his skin, if only for a moment. However, working in shows required sacrifices. Sammy did not go to school like other children. He missed the experience of desks, books, and school bells. Instead, he learned from traveling, books he found, the people he met, and the stages he performed on. He taught himself languages, instruments, and skills no classroom could offer. His desire for knowledge matched his drive to perform. He showed that greatness comes from not just school, but also passion, hard work, and a desire to learn. Sammy Davis Jr.'s brutal army experience and rise to stardom. In 1943, everything changed for Sammy. At 18 years old, standing 5 feet 6 inches tall and weighing 120 pounds, he was drafted into the U.S. Army. He left the safety of the stage and entered a harsh new world. Sammy joined one of the first integrated units, but the promise of unity was false. The Army was filled with racism. The first soldier he met called him a slur. The painful truth hit him hard. His talent did not matter in uniform. He fought to survive, facing fights and hate almost every day. The Army was supposed to help men grow stronger, but for Sammy, it took away his innocence. The abuse he faced was shocking. Once, white soldiers kidnapped him and painted him white from head to toe, mocking everything he was. Another time, they tricked him into drinking beer laced with urine. Some nights, they urinated on him. His nose was broken 3 times. And they weren't done. They humiliated him by forcing him to perform, scrawling slurs on his forehead before shoving him on stage. The cruelty was endless, designed to crush him. One night, soldiers tied him to a tree in the cold. He felt helpless, like many victims of racial terror before him. The cold hurt his skin, but the pain ran deeper. It was a message: know your place, no matter where you go or what you achieve. The Army didn't help him. They ignored him. That night stayed with him forever, a scar on his body and his heart. Sammy Davis Jr. faced severe challenges during his early life, including a brutal attack by soldiers that left him hospitalized. Despite this, he found strength in his talent for performing when he joined the Army's entertainment unit. After serving, Sammy returned to pursue a career in show business. In 1951, he made a breakthrough at Ciro's nightclub, opening for Janice Page. He quickly gained fame and secured appearances on television, making history as a black entertainer. Tragically, in 1954, he lost an eye in a car accident, but returned to the stage just weeks later. During his recovery, Sammy converted to Judaism, feeling a connection to the Jewish community and their struggles. He faced racism in Las Vegas, where he could perform but wasn't allowed to stay in hotels or enter through front doors. With the support of the Rat Pack, he helped change these unfair practices, becoming the first black entertainer to stay at the Frontier Hotel. Sammy was incredibly talented, mastering various instruments and performing impressive acts. For his versatility and ability to entertain, he earned the nickname Mr. Show Business. Sammy Davis Jr.'s Broadway triumphs and Rat Pack legacy. In 1956, Sammy Davis Jr. made his mark on Broadway with Mr. Wonderful, which opened on March 22nd. Critics were not impressed, but his charm drew audiences, leading to 383 successful performances. He brought his lively nightclub style to the show and featured his family on stage. In 1964, Sammy captured attention again with Golden Boy, playing a black boxer in love with a white woman. His onstage kiss caused controversy, but he stood firm, earning a Tony nomination and marching with Martin Luther King Jr. in Selma. Sammy's talents also shown in film. He starred in Anna Lucasta, 1958, and Porgy and Bess, 1959, and was part of the Rat Pack in Ocean's 11, 1960. On television, he made strides by hosting the Sammy Davis Jr. show in 1966, becoming one of the first black entertainers to have a primetime network variety show. His hard work helped open doors for other black artists in entertainment. Sammy's friendship with Frank Sinatra began in 1941 when Sammy was just 15 and performing in Detroit. Frank, then 26, saw and supported Sammy's talent. In 1947, Frank arranged for Sammy's trio to open for him in New York, giving Sammy a major opportunity. In 1950, when Sammy was denied entry to the Copacabana due to his race, Frank stood by him, demanding they be treated equally. This was especially brave during a time of segregation. After Sammy survived a serious car accident in 1954 that left him without an eye, Frank helped pay his hospital bills and encouraged him to return to performing quickly. Their friendship showed loyalty and strength, helping Sammy break into Hollywood. In 1960, they starred together in Ocean's 11, in which Sammy had a key role. The film was a success, and Sammy became one of its stars. Even though he was popular, he faced segregation in Las Vegas but fought for better treatment, becoming the first black entertainer to get a room at the Frontier Hotel. Sammy's efforts helped end hotel discrimination in Nevada in 1971. After he died in 1990, Las Vegas honored him for his influence on the city and entertainment. Following Ocean's 11, Sammy starred in other films like Sergeants 3 and Robin and the Seven Hoods, proving he was a major star and helping change how Hollywood viewed black entertainers. Sammy Davis Jr.'s Marriages, Addictions, and Hidden Demons. Sammy Davis Jr. had a complicated love life that reflected the challenges of interracial relationships in the 1950s and 1960s. In 1957, he fell in love with actress Kim Novak. Their relationship was risky because of societal disapproval. When rumors about their engagement spread, studios and the mob pressured him to break up with her. Fearful of these pressures, he ended the relationship in 1958 and quickly married Lorraine White, a black singer. However, that marriage was short-lived and ended in a few months. 1960, Sammy married Mae Britt, defying America's taboo against interracial marriage. They moved their wedding to his home after facing threats. They were one of the few black-Jewish interracial couples in the public eye, enduring harassment and professional difficulties. Despite these challenges, they raised a daughter, Tracy, and adopted two sons, Mark and Jeff. Their marriage faced struggles, partly due to Sammy's touring and public backlash. In 1968, Mae filed for divorce, citing extreme cruelty, which was fueled by Sammy's affair with singer Lola Falana and their growing issues. After their split, Sammy remained involved in his children's lives and supported their Jewish upbringing. After the divorce, Sammy Davis Jr. struggled with drugs and alcohol. He turned his Beverly Hills home into a party spot for celebrities. Although he's shown on stage, he battled addiction and personal problems off stage. In 1970, he married dancer Altovise Gore and adopted a son, Manny, in 1989, just a year before he died in 1990. Despite Altovise's support, their life was chaotic, with rumors and financial troubles. Sammy's gambling addiction led him to owe over $7 million to the IRS, even though he earned around $50 million. In June 1972, Sammy surprised himself by hitting #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 with The Candyman. His song, I've Gotta Be Me, showed his struggles with racism and identity. He thrived in Las Vegas and became a major performer, advocating for equal treatment. Sammy also broke barriers on television as one of the first black stars to host a variety show. However, his personal life suffered as his addiction worsened. In 1987, he reunited with Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin for a farewell tour, including Liza Minnelli. The tour started in March 1988, but faced challenges when Dean left due to health issues. Despite this, Sammy and Sinatra continued to perform until the tour ended in May 1989. Sammy Davis Jr.'s cancer fight, financial ruin, and secret storage unit. The real struggle for Sammy Davis Jr. began in August 1989 when doctors diagnosed him with throat cancer caused by his heavy smoking. He chose radiation treatment to keep his voice instead of having surgery. He went through 8 tough weeks of treatment that initially worked. However, by early 1990, the cancer came back aggressively. This left him weak and unable to speak. Sammy passed away on May 16, 1990, at 64. After his death, it came to light that he owed over $7 million in taxes. His wife, Altovise, had to deal with the aftermath. She sold their mansion but faced debts from tuxedos, groceries, and a shopping center mortgage. Altovise fought legal battles for years and finally settled with the IRS in 1997, losing almost everything. In September 1991, an auction of Sammy's belongings raised $439,000, much less than the total debt. Some of his valuable items, including jewelry and a painting, went missing. Later, Matthias Hornick found a storage unit that held Sammy's hidden treasures, like a trumpet and an antique record player. An employee of Altovise had hidden these items to protect them from the IRS. Unfortunately, the IRS seized the items, adding to the tragic end of Sammy's story. The real battle started in August 1989. Sammy began losing his sense of taste, and his throat always hurt. Doctors soon diagnosed him with throat cancer. Years of smoking, up to 4 packs a day, had taken their toll. Sammy had a tough choice. Surgeons could remove his voice box to save his life, or he could try radiation to keep singing. He chose to keep his voice. He went through 8 brutal weeks of treatment. At first, it seemed successful, and the tumor shrank. Sammy even returned to the stage a few times, but by early 1990, the cancer returned and spread quickly. Surgery was no longer possible. Sammy could barely whisper, and his weight dropped to about 60 pounds. The disease robbed him of his strength, his voice, and ultimately, his life. On May 16, 1990, at 64, Sammy Davis Jr. died, silencing his gift to the world. When he died at his Beverly Hills home, the truth about his finances emerged. Despite earning millions over his 60-year career, he owed more than $5 million in taxes. That debt grew to $7 million with penalties and interest, about $13 million today. His estate was worth around $4 million, but the IRS took it all to settle the debts. Altovise faced the burden alone because she had co-signed their tax returns. She sold their 11,000 square foot mansion for $2.7 million, but most of that went to pay the mortgage. The debts didn't end there. Sammy still owed $2,000 for tuxedos, $3,500 for groceries, and $118,000 for a shopping center mortgage. Even his insurance and future royalties went directly to the IRS. Altovise battled legally for years and settled with the IRS by 1997, but lost almost everything. The world watched in shock as one of its brightest stars faded not just in health, but also in fortune. The sadness deepened with the auction that followed. In September 1991, over 1,800 people gathered in Los Angeles to buy pieces of Sammy's life. More than 500 of his personal items were auctioned off. His gold record for The Candyman sold for $4,275, and a pair of tap shoes went for $11,000. People bought his jewelry, scrapbooks, walking sticks, and hats. The auction raised $439,000, barely a dent in the $7 million tax bill. Altovise cried as she watched her husband's treasures leave her. To make matters worse, some of Sammy's items had already gone missing, including 185 pieces of jewelry and an Andy Warhol painting. Then an unexpected twist occurred. In late 1991, a 28-year-old man named Matthias Horenik received a strange bill for a storage unit he had never rented. Someone had stolen his ID. The storage company, a one self-storage in Burbank, looked into it and discovered the unit had been rented with fake information. Afraid of hidden dangers, the manager called the police. When they opened the locker, they found Sammy Davis Jr.'s personal treasures: a trumpet, an antique record player, a jukebox with the Candyman, clothing, documents, and photos. Someone rented that unit 2 weeks after the auction, trying to hide the items. Police learned that an employee of Altovise had helped stash the items. He said the IRS was pursuing everything and wanted to save what was left. They used stolen ID and paid in cash. If they had continued paying, no one would have known. However, the IRS found out and seized the items, hoping to recover more debt. Altovise claims she knew nothing about it. This hidden storage was another sad chapter in a tale of talent, fame, and downfall.